everybody. I wanted to talk to you today about something I am very passionate about. So, I wanted to talk about how therapy, and more specifically, how hypnotherapy, can really make you a much better artist or performer. So, I know this is something that is really kind of not often explored territory. And sometimes it's a hard sell to an actor or a writer or a performer to say, well, I know that training is really important, but I really think hypnosis can help you to go to that next level because it's not something commonly heard of. Usually when you think about hypnosis, you think about quitting smoking or weight loss. And you can do those, and those are amazing. When I first got into hypnotherapy, I had been an actress. You may or may not know that I have Lyme disease, and that's why I had to leave the acting world. And I went into hypnotherapy wanting to help everybody, and it's really amazing that how hypnosis can help with almost anything. It can't help paint your house, but pretty much everything else hypnosis can help with. But the thing I was most passionate about was using it to bring out someone's best work because I had done that with myself. While I do think that craft is very important, I think that for a lot of people who are struggling to get they've kind of plateaued with their training as I had done when I was acting. I was good and I had hit a certain level, but there were things that were just inherent to me and my personality that were holding me back, and I had plateaued. I was a good actress, but I wasn't a great actress, and I knew the things that were holding me back, but my training wasn't helping me get past those. So to tell you more about that, things that had held me back were I had a really rough childhood and I was bullied a lot, and so I tended to be very timid, and I still am fairly, depending on who I'm around, I can be very reserved and I can be self-conscious. And as an actress, that's not really the best quality. I was very good at subtle things and painful moments, but the second they asked me to do something very out there and wild and like high energy, it was so hard for me because I was so scared of making a fool of myself. And I also was, not that I couldn't handle rejection, but sometimes on set, if a director or a person was very strong in their opinions and judgments, it could really kind of close me off instead of bringing out my best work. So those were some things that were inherent to who I was as a person. They had been instilled in me as a child through things that I had gone through. And of course, those things are going to overflow into your work. And so no matter how many classes I did, that part wasn't changing, and it was really holding me back in my career. And that's where the hypnosis came in. So I want to tell you more about that, but I also want to get into just start out with the history of kind of therapy and the acting world. Now I'm going to use acting as my main example because that's what I had, so many years of experience in. I grew up, my great-grandfather was, nobody knows his name now, but at the time he was fairly well-known and fairly successful, so I kind of grew up watching old movies and loving it. And then in third grade, after doing my first play, just being like, this is what I want to do. And so that was my life and my world for a long time. So that will be my main example. So within the acting world, at the beginnings, when the golden age of Hollywood was happening, and the first training was happening with, I think it was Strasberg. I'm having a brain fart moment because of the Lyme, so you can tell me in the comments who was the first main guy who was creating the craft and training people. I know it is a really long name. I've studied it, but I just lime brain right now. So anyway, when that was first happening and developing, therapy was actually a big part of it and an often used tool. And it's kind of sad to me that it's been forgotten. So people like Marilyn Monroe, she was put into therapy almost like 6 days a week. And you can really see the effect of it. I don't know if it fixed everything in her life, or if the way that the therapy was going was the right therapy for her in her life, because obviously we all know how that ended. But you can really see a change in her acting. If you watch her earlier films and then you watch some of her later films, especially she was in this one Western, which I will put down below so you guys can check it out, you will see like she went from being horrible. I'm sorry, she was beautiful, but she was horrible in her first bunch of films. But after the training and after that intensive therapy, she was really able to tap into something. She was kind of like this open, raw nerve, and it was beautiful to watch. Other people, I believe Marlon Brando and a bunch of other greats from that time also did training, but also therapy. And they're the greats, so it had to have had something to it, right? So that's something I've always believed in, is like therapy can really make you much better and take you that final step. So then we have the jump from conventional therapy, which is kind of how it started, to what I'm trying to bring now is hypnotherapy. And I don't want to say necessarily that one is better than the other, and if you can do it all, then honey, do it all, because every little bit helps. But the difference is time. So I've done conventional therapy my whole life. My family was a bit of a hot mess growing up, so I've just always, loved going to a therapist and talking things out. It's something I'm very supportive of. However, if you're really wanting to achieve a big personality change, not that you're taking away from yourself, but something like overcoming anxiety or overcoming stage fright, or just those sorts of things that are inherent to your personality and how you were brought up, therapy can take years and years to really get a big change that is reflective in your personal life and your work. So when I tried hypnotherapy for the very first time, I was literally like shocked. I went in with medium expectations. My stepfather had done hypnosis to quit smoking, and he was the first case where I was like, wow, if this can work for this guy, then this can work for anyone. So he had been smoking since he was 13 years old, and 20 years later was when he went to a hypnosis seminar. It wasn't even a one-on-one. It was a seminar with like 20 other people in a room. And this guy, he's great. I'm not putting down my stepfather at all, but he's a bit of a redneck and he's maybe not the most open-minded. And he went in for one session with 20 other people, been smoking for 20 years since he was a kid. And he came out and he hasn't touched a cigarette in over, it's like 15, 16 years now. So to me, I was like, wow, if that can work for that guy in that circumstance, then there has to be something to it. So when I tried hypnosis for myself, I already had like fairly high expectations of this is something that can really have a big effect and fairly quickly, but my mind was still blown. I went in, I've had some food issues related to the Lyme disease and some food allergies I developed, and a little bit of binging on things that I'm allergic to, which is not the best habit. So I went into my first hypnosis session to deal with that, and I came out of it, just this 30-minute session, and I walked out and I felt amazing. Literally, I just felt this weight had been lifted from me. And I felt as if I had done a year's worth of conventional therapy in one session. I was just blown away. And not only, what was interesting to me, of course, hypnosis affects everybody on different levels. There are people who are highly suggestible to hypnosis, and they'll go in their first session and have huge overriding changes, such as I did. And then there are people who it takes a little more work. They'll see smaller changes, but then if they do a few sessions, they'll get there. But for me, my experience was that I went in, and not just did it help me with the food issues, but all of a sudden I felt so much more confident. I just wasn't worried. I felt so much more positive. It affected everything that I had been dealing with, even though I went in for just one thing. So that was my first experience with it, and that's why I really kind of say that for really hitting the next level in your career and in your craft, hypnosis is the very best tool. There's also meditation, which I went into in my prior video about the cult of the tortured artist, which if you haven't watched it yet, there'll be a link to it after this video is over. I went into how kind of therapy and meditation as well as hypnosis can be useful. But I said meditation is also amazing. I would highly suggest that, but that's like a blanket kind of medicine. It's an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Meditation a day keeps the crazy away. It just kind of is an overall soothing sort of tonic, whereas hypnosis is like the surgeon going in with a laser. So if you have a specific thing such as stage fright or writer's block, hypnosis can go in for that targeted issue, and really you come out of surgery and you're much better. So that is why I think that no matter what craft you're pursuing, you shouldn't just look at training, but you should really think about what's affecting you in your life and how that holds you back in your career, and then look into using hypnosis to fix that, because I think you'll find that you'll be getting results much quicker than any other way. And so I think I covered it. I hope I didn't go off too much on any tangents. I think you understand now maybe a little better how something you hadn't thought of before to use towards your craft can really be a huge tool in the toolbox. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to do another video of an actual hypnosis session for you to bring out the best in your craft. Now, I don't know you, you're not a client, and this is going to be for many people, so it's going to be very generalized. Obviously, I highly recommend going to a real hypnotherapist, such as myself, if you want to, but anyone you can go to, and you'll get a more targeted approach of your specific craft that you're working on and the specific thing that's holding you back. But this video that I'm going to do will still help to just bring out the best in your work, especially if you listen to it often. So keep your eye out for that. I really hope it helps you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I would love for you to subscribe to see more awesome videos about hypnosis, performing arts, meditation, all the good things. Subscribe to do that, and also leave comments. Let me know other videos you'd want to see, or if you have any thoughts about this. Have you ever tried hypnosis for a craft that you're working on? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Bye.